purpose of Worth the War is to help prepare and spare hearts. We're preparing people for healthy love and relationship and helping people to avoid abuse. Today's topic is the second in a two-part series that is teaching your children, especially your preteens and your teens, how to find healthy love and relationship. The purpose of Worth the War is to help prepare and spare hearts. We're preparing people for healthy love and relationship and helping people to avoid abuse. Today's topic is the second in a two-part series that is teaching your children, especially your preteens and your teens, how to find healthy love and relationship. In the first video, we talked about three aspects of an individual, in this case preteen or teen, but actually anyone, that are all involved in us choosing and keeping and maintaining healthy love and relationship. And those three parts of a person are their mind, their heart, and their body. If they have a proper balance and understanding of how these things work together, they're going to be worlds ahead of most people when it comes to approaching love and relationship. We're going to continue this by talking about some things we can do as parents or as adults that will actually help foster and put guardrails around kids so that as they enter into the dating relationship process, they have some ways that they can actually learn from what's already been learned or lessons that have already been learned along the way. So let's dig right into the material today. The first practical way that we can really show children in our lives that love is something that we work on, that it's something that takes effort and we have to learn to balance these parts of ourselves, is just showing how hard it is sometimes for us to lay aside what we feel and actually choose to love. If we're having a terrible day, say, I really feel like just yelling right now, but what I want you to know is that I'll be there for you, or whatever it is for you in your life at that time. So by being transparent in the way that you love your child or the people around you and actually talking about it, you will give them a great prototype for what love actually is. The next thing that you can do is take opportunities to really look at what they see in pop culture that you see along. You're in a movie with them, or you're listening to music, or whatever it is. I'm not talking about sitting down and making it a huge deal, but just a teachable moment to just kind of reveal, that whole message is wrong-headed. It's going to take you places that are just going to leave you broken. Kids may not want to hear some kind of exhortation about what love actually is, but they will want to hear the things that you can see that will take them places that will be awful. And if you get the examples in popular culture or sadly in some of their peer group, you're going to be able to put the dots together and teach them that some choices that you make, some ideas and beliefs that we have about love and relationship aren't going to ever take you anywhere good. So take those short, sweet little moments and turn them into teaching opportunities so that they can start to see that what they do and how they approach love will have a huge impact on how it actually loves them back. We've used the analogy of driving and how to teach somebody how to drive when it comes to healthy love and relationships. So I'm going to continue that here with the idea of road hazards. One of the most important jobs we have as parents or adults in kids' lives is to be able to kind of tell them what some of the pitfalls and the dangers are. So let's talk a little bit about some of the road hazards that we can teach our kids about love and relationships so they don't necessarily have to experience them to know they're there. We won't spend tons of time on these ideas of roadblocks because honestly, most of them are things that you're probably already going to be aware of. But it's not a bad idea to spend a few minutes Googling some of the statistics to find out what's really at risk because some of the numbers are frightening. It's especially helpful for kids to do a little bit of their own research. Maybe have them go and Google and bring back to you some of the statistics so that they have in the back of their head a knowledge that there are some things that have some great consequences to them that they may have not thought of before. So these are some things that they should probably look at. A second roadblock that will be covered lightly in health classes but really needs more in-depth time to really go over with your kid is this idea of the consequences of sex. They're going to touch on STDs, but do they really understand what those symptoms are like, what a kind of experience that is, and what kind of long-term effect that's going to have? Do they understand what unplanned pregnancies really do to someone's daily life and how they actually have to walk through that? Some of these things they'll touch on and they'll do it in a light way in school, and they might even have some people that were better that they can talk to about it, but there's just nothing that can really substitute spending some time learning about what these things will do to the path and trajectory of a life that will give them the opportunity to put that in the back of their head as they make decisions for the future. Another road hazard that people encounter that they don't really think about before they get there is that sometimes not being ready for healthy love and relationship can create a loss of focus on your life. So you can probably find examples of people that were really motivated to go off to college or to make certain goals happen, and they all disappeared and dissipated. Sometimes when we're not ready for healthy love and relationship, we make our lives the love and relationship, and so we miss out on a lot of our lives because we just mistargeted what really has to be our focus for that time. So taking some time to really talk about what loss of focus does to a life is a really good way to identify the road hazards hazard of not being ready but putting yourself in a relationship before you are. Another road hazard we don't do nearly enough to teach our preteen and teen population is how to identify personality disordered individuals or mentally unhealthy individuals. If we don't identify and teach our kids to identify this in people and in individuals themselves, how will they ever recognize it in a toxic relationship? So we need to take the time to teach them the red flags of unhealthy relationships so they can learn how to identify that in the people. Things like being isolated or aggressively manipulated or pressing the gas pedal of a relationship before they're entirely engaged in it. These kinds of things are huge red flags, and if we don't teach our kids what they are, how can we possibly expect that we will be able to prevent them from getting into abusive or unhealthy relationships? This next roadblock is really controversial, although it really shouldn't be, because I'm talking about it in terms of children. The average age that kids are starting to look at pornography is 11. If they wait 4 or 5 more years for their first kiss, they've essentially been exposed to an entire underworld of sexual activity and often sexual violence and non-consensual relationship in the sexual area for 4 or 5 years. This, in my estimation, is a training ground that they are learning things about sex that have nothing to do with love and relationship or affection. They're learning that to be aggressive is more sexy, to be able to accept pain and give pain is more sexy. And we end up with a whole myriad of problems that really could be avoided if we were really careful to keep them out of pornography through these years and give them some protection in this area. Another area that parents need to be really preparing their preteens and teens is in the reality of what's happening with sexting and nudes. 1 in 25 nudes is used in what they call revenge porn. In other words, when you break up, it's considered to be okay to use those pictures to actually as a weapon against someone. We're seeing more and more damage, and the truth is it's supposed to be illegal to send these images, but kids are doing it every day. And if you look at, just spend a little bit of time looking at what the numbers are, you'll see that this is a huge problem for kids, and it puts them in situations that they're embarrassed of later. And more than that, it creates kind of a savage environment where kids really have no concern for what happens with someone once they break up with them. Sometimes it's tempting to avoid some of these conversations about sex or porn or sexting or nudes because we just don't really understand what's going on, or we don't really want to get in the kid's face too much. But the truth is there's a lot of damage being done, a lot of long-term damage being done, not just to the children that are engaging in it, but to the people that they're affecting. So take some time to realize that if you can't face these topics with your child, at least you could find someone else who's ready to face them head on with them and get really informed on some of the statistics, because there's a lot of damage that can be done and we can't keep hiding from it. After we learn about what some of the dangers and the roadblocks are to healthy love and relationship, and we get a sense of what some of the enemies are that are out there that are trying to really kind of derail us, then the most important step is to really set up guardrails so that your child can practice driving but not necessarily run themselves off the road. So we all know that as parents, we teach our kids that a healthy love and relationship starts with a really good friendship. The idea that you're kind of compatible, you have similar ideas of life, you actually want to help each other journey along that way. As they're developing friendships, you can put a guardrail. As they decide that they want to go into healthy love and relationships, they decide they want to move into that arena, you can put the guardrails up by saying, let's start with friendship, let's start with group dates, let's start with things that will actually protect you so that you can take time to figure out how you feel about them without risking so much, which you'll see that people who have no guardrails, a lot of them are going to blow up along the way. That's not something we want to watch for entertainment value, but we can't control other people, but we can control the world that we live in, and we can help our kids control their world. They should want those guardrails. It may not feel fun all the time, but often what I have found is kids will actually be grateful and say thank you for the times that they could have been risked and they saw the fallout and they wish somebody had put guardrails up for them. A few other small things that you can do that set up guardrails for your child is just to have an open phone policy. It doesn't mean that you're going to always be in their face, but if you as a family have open phone policies, then all of you are held accountable to the things that you're doing with your phones. It also allows a parent as an invitation to be sure that they understand that their child can get into a lot of trouble if they don't know what's going on. You need to stay informed. What are the hidden apps that kids are using? There's always things that look like they're benign and they're actually really not. They can go into a pretty dark place. So it's important for us to stay informed and to be wise, but we also should be accountable with the way that we use our technology. We should have an open door policy. If we start to practice that, it actually can translate pretty well into healthy love and relationship, because healthy couples really shouldn't have any problem with somebody getting onto their phone and having their passwords. As we finish out the second video on preparing our kids for healthy love and relationship, just like we would teaching them to drive, we have to remember that sometimes lessons aren't always fun. Sometimes guardrails aren't always fun. We have to care less about whether our kids are thrilled with us in the moment and more about whether we're preparing them well for healthy love and relationship, how to identify and avoid abuse and toxic relationships down the road. We get an opportunity to be a part of a preteen and a teenage life, but sometimes the cost of actually speaking truth and loving on them is that they're not going to be happy with some of the guardrails that are popped up along the way, but it will keep them from going off the road, and sometimes that's the most important thing of all. I really hope something from this video will be helpful for you as you raise a preteen and teen to find healthy love and relationship. Here at Worth the War, we take wisdom from survivors of toxic and unhealthy and abusive relationships, and we turn that over to have in the hands of parents or teachers or other people that can actually help kids avoid it, so we can spare some hearts and keep them whole. We thank you for taking the time to be here. I hope that you'll join our community. We intend on raising our voice to create a change in the way that we approach love and relationship, and we would love to have you join us.